Thank you for joining us. I'm Richard Peretz here at Lago for a fundraising event for various charities and good causes. And we will hear the singer Franco Corso, meet with the other dignitaries. And finally, the keynote speaker here will be Bill Faloon, the co-founder of Life Extension Foundation, giving us updated information on life-changing age reversal therapies available at this time in history. And we will see and follow the event following these messages.
Human age reversal. We may be there already. Human studies are now ready to begin to confirm meaningful reversal of pathological aging processes. These clinical trials aim to alter older humans so that they function as much younger individuals. Even modest success will result in a paradigm shift that will impart enormous societal benefits, such as sparing Medicare from insolvency. Life extension is not standing idle while 5,000 Americans die each day from age-related illnesses. Joining us are physician scientists who want to hurry up these technologies to keep people from aging to death. While life extension is pushing these projects forward, we need financial help to ensure these studies are carried through to fruition. You can support this research by making a tax-deductible donation to Life Extension Society. All donations will be used to fund age reversal research. Join us on this essential mission.
One more quick speech from our presenting sponsor, the international enterprise, Life Extensions. Welcome, Mr. Bill Faloon.
Thank you, Lexi. We're on the opposite spectrum of that wonderful charity you just heard about. Our group is to rescue elderly people from the horrific consequences of biological aging. I hope everyone here appreciates the privilege it is to live in an era where the prospect of human age reversal is transforming into biomedical reality. And at 2:30 this afternoon, I'm going to make a historic announcement about using existing technologies that you can obtain at your doctor's offices to reverse your aging process via the renewal of your own stem cells. We all have our same stem cells, by the way. The same stem cells we were born with, they still exist in our body, but they're old. They're not functioning like they used to. And the good news is 4 compounds. And just think, in 1903, the Wright brothers took off, and look what we have right now. The technology is accelerating in the biomedical sciences so quickly that we can confidently tell people right now, no matter how old you are, we can almost certainly renew your stem cell functionality. And when that happens, your stem cells start producing healthy, functional cells in every organ system of your body. So at 2:30 this afternoon, we've got a ballroom reserved, and I'm going to put on about a 35-minute presentation that's going to inform you as to what you can ask your doctors for right now to gain access to a stem cell renewal technology. I have no financial interest in this, by the way. I'm doing this to generate results. So when you start feeling younger and when your clinical measures start to improve, you tell everyone you know, and we start a life extension revolution. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you so much.
The idea of reversing biological aging, it really was an impossibility in the year 2014. People approached me in the year 2013, 2014, and wanted to help contribute. We are in the midst of a biomedical renaissance. I'm privileged to live in this type of an era where science is evolving so quickly that people who are alive today may be able to be regenerated in a systemic manner. So today's Renaissance, compared to the European Renaissance that began around 1400 AD, today's Renaissance is renewing older people. This is what we're all about. And we at Life Extension have been investigating the various technologies. We've identified 7 different projects that we're partially funding, and we have other people funding, that are studying these effects in human beings. We're tired of seeing the laboratory animals derive all the benefits. In fact, a lot of the scientists who are doing the research, seeing the animals' aging process go in reverse, they're now self-experimenting with these therapies. So our contention today, and it's still controversial, is that we may be able to enable older people to grow biologically younger using existing technologies. And I'm going to let you know what those existing technologies are at the end of this presentation. But before I start, I just want to remind everybody that when a medical discovery is made, human lives are saved. But it doesn't happen all at once. Edward Jenner, 1796, he discovered how to prevent smallpox with a cowpox inoculation. And by 1840, in England, universal vaccination, they virtually eradicated smallpox. But in the 20th century, when all of us were born, there were still people dying of smallpox. 300 million people died of smallpox in the 20th century because they didn't have access to the information or the technology. Everyone in this room has access to technology that can reverse their aging process. The bottom line is, we don't have a lot of time. I'm 63 years of age. When I wake up every morning, I pretend I'm 97. An unhealthy 97, I need to accelerate this research in order for people to derive these incredible benefits. But it's important to understand that the technology we're talking about is not available to everybody. And we know more about aging today than what Edward Jenner knew about smallpox. In fact, Edward Jenner didn't know anything about what caused smallpox because they didn't know viruses existed. Think about that. He was able to eradicate smallpox without knowing there were viruses. On the other hand, we know multiple pathological mechanisms involved in aging. And we know how to slow down and even reverse some of those multiple mechanisms you see on this screen. Now, for those who don't know me or Life Extension, this is an organization I founded in 1977. And in 1980, we got our first check in the door for a subscription to our newsletter. So most of our publications talk about 1980 as being the time where I guess we were in business. Someone wrote us a $27 check for our anti-aging newsletter. So we've been around 40 years, and we do have a track record in which we've been able to demonstrate aspirin reducing the risk of heart attack, ischemic stroke, coenzyme Q10 helping out with heart failure, DHEA to boost immune function along with melatonin, and probably more important than anything else we've ever done, public access to blood tests. You don't have to go to your doctor and say, will you test my homocysteine level? Will you test my C-reactive protein? You can order those tests yourself on your own, get your blood workup done, and then go to your doctor with your blood workup in hand. That lets your doctor do a much, much better job. Now, the media, they're paying attention to these scientific discoveries. Front page covers are talking about people living for indefinite periods of time. But the media doesn't get it right. They claim that you have to be rich in order to live forever. And some of these technologies are expensive. They're brand new. Just like the computers, when they first invented them, they cost a lot of money. Now we carry iPhones that are more powerful than multi-million-dollar computer systems of the 1960s. So we know that there are ways to intervene into aging that don't cost a lot of money. But you got the option, and I'm going to give you those options at the end of this presentation. But the media is picking up on the fact, and very few people understand this, that indefinitely extended healthy human lifespan is right around the corner. Now, Time magazine published an article about the fact that babies born today, they're going to live a lot longer, a lot healthier than us. I don't see any kids in this room, though. Unfortunately, we're not babies. In order for us to benefit, we need people like Osman Kaibar and many, many others who are evaluating ways to reverse aging in people. And it's not just one individual. Multiple people in Silicon Valley and other parts of the country are putting in lots of money to figure out ways to reverse aging. Mark Zuckerberg, He's determined to find a cure for virtually every disease that plagues mankind today. The people who had the forward-thinking ability to identify ways to communicate with the world are now determined to find a way to reverse aging. But there's a big difference between all these billionaires and me, a big difference. I am absolutely determined to make this happen for myself. It is my #1 priority in life. People like Bill Gates, a very generous human being, he's putting some of his money into research. That's great. I put all of our money into biomedical research. This is what Life Extension does. We sell dietary supplements. We take the profits, put it into research. We've contributed over $200 million since our inception, and about every year we add about $5 million to that. To me, that's what money is for, to fund research to alleviate human suffering and premature death. And And some people are looking to make a lot of money at this, and I applaud them for this. I want lots of competitors out there figuring better ways to reverse our aging process. And even the government's getting in on it because they're realizing, hey, Medicare, we can't afford to fund the illnesses that elderly people are contracting. If we can just reverse aging 5 or 10 years, we can spare Medicare from insolvency. Think about that. We add decades of healthy life and we spare Medicare from insolvency all at the same time. This individual is my age, Dr. George Church of Harvard. He is a pioneer of CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology. Dr. Church believes within the next 10 years, he is going to be able to edit all of our genes in such a way that we grow biologically younger and never suffer a biological catastrophe, such as Alzheimer's, cancer, atherosclerosis. And a lot of people are putting money into his projects. We feel he gives us a tremendous opportunity. But guess what? A lot of people in this room may not have 5 or 10 years. And that's why I'm going to introduce a project that will enable you potentially to reach an era where you can take advantage of a time where aging itself becomes a relic of the past. Just like polio and smallpox and all kinds of infectious diseases, they don't exist anymore. Again, the media has picked up on the fact that people are going to start living a lot longer, a lot healthier, but it's going to be confined initially to a small group, maybe a small group just like this in Palm Beach County, where we aggressively intervene into our own aging processes. I do it all the time with experimental therapies, aggressively intervene. Now this drug, Rapamycin, it's used by organ transplant patients to suppress their immune function. But if you use it in a creative way, well, it makes your dog live longer. It does actually some wonderful things. I'm going to play a video for you as it relates to Rapamycin. And another class of drugs, senolytic drugs, purge your body of senescent cells. They kind of clog up your machinery. Just think if you have a bunch of healthy cells and one bad one, it interferes with cell-to-cell communication. We're doing human studies right now on senolytic drugs, and Salk Institute, they were able to enable animals to live 30% longer, but they also looked better. They behaved better. We're funding research right now to translate this technology into humans. So the rats are not the only beneficiaries to this incredible research. The fundamental question for everyone in this room is you got 2 choices right now. You can be part of the control group, which is the majority of the world. You will age, you'll contract some disorder, and you'll prematurely deanimate. Deanimate's the word we use for death. Death is just too terrible for me to even mention. I'm so afraid of it. So deanimate prematurely. The experimental group, on the other hand, we seek to circumvent every pathology involved in aging, just like we've all been immunized against a whole lot of bacterial and viral infections, and we don't even think about it. But all the diseases that plagued mankind in the past, we don't get them anymore. We have other problems. Now, a statistic came out very recently, and a lot of people just don't pay attention to this kind of data, but we do at Life Extension. That is 43% more Americans living to age 100 today compared to year 2000. That's only, basically, that was a 14-year study period they looked at. So over a 14-year period, 43% more Americans living to age 100. This should be headline news, but it was buried in the media. And as it relates to how people are aging, Ronald Reagan, running for president, 1980.
a lot of people thought he might be too old. Another individual running for president, 2016, no one questioned whether or not he was too old. Think about this, how our attitudes are changing. And a lot of those attitudes are changing because science is keeping people alive longer. There were blood tests that Ronald Reagan probably never took that everyone in today's world engages in. Now, Lyndon Johnson, I think we all remember him. He had to check out of politics because he had blocked coronary arteries. And in the 1960s, they didn't have effective bypass surgeries. They didn't have stenting. They didn't have drugs to lower the lipids. They didn't even know what really caused it. So Lyndon Johnson, he died prematurely. He didn't have to because, unfortunately, there really was technology that could have existed. And look what happened starting in 1980. The leading cause of death, coronary artery disease resulting in sudden cardiac arrest, a huge decline in the death rates. And the reasons for that, they're technology. The technology that I'm going to talk about that results in age reversal, it's working in diseases associated with aging. A 56% decline in the death rates from heart disease. Well, this is absolutely huge. And yet again, the media is overlooking this. And we look at today's leaders. Well, they all seem to have blocked coronary arteries, but they're still alive. Unlike Lyndon Johnson, they are benefiting from technology that is keeping them alive. And the biggest beneficiary there is Dick Cheney, and he's written a book about it, that every time he was about to die, technology emerged to save his life. And that is a perfect analogy to what I'm referring to today. We're all growing older, and there are interventions that could very well keep you alive if you're willing to engage in them. And Dick Cheney said yes to every one of them. He really had not much of a choice. But he's still alive. He's about 76 years of age. If he was in Lyndon Johnson's era, he wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't have survived at all. And I want to let the group know that we played a contributing role in that 56% decline in cardiac death rates. Life Extension introduced a number of technologies in the 1980s that are preventing heart disease, ischemic stroke, kidney failure. We introduced those. We pushed them through. We battled the FDA. We got aspirin approved as a way to reduce ischemic stroke and coronary artery disease risk. And this time frame about life expectancy. And what I put in red there are the times where I was living between 1940 and 1960. I was born in 1954, by the way. And if someone told me, even as a kid, that I was only supposed to live to 62, I'd be rather upset about that. In fact, the generation before me, they were only supposed to live to 55. And I don't think anyone in this room would accept those very short lifespans. We want to rebel against nature, rebel against aging and deanimations when they're not necessary. And if anyone questions whether or not it's possible for people to live for indefinite extended periods, well, you can cite Nature, a prestigious scientific journal where a bunch of experts got together and they determined there's no real upper limit as to how long human beings can live. No upper limit threshold. Most people think there is. They're talking about infinity right here. So at least you have a scientific citation. I don't know how many of you have heard of the drug metformin. It's an anti-diabetic drug. I've been taking it for about 20 years. I'm not a diabetic. I take it to slow aging. I take it to prevent cancer. We recommend cancer patients to come to us to get on metformin because of its potent anti-cancer activities. Wouldn't it be wonderful not to get cancer as opposed to face treatment, which can work, but it's really nasty, as we all know. Now, the media has published a lot about this metformin clinical trial, and elderly people are scrambling to get into it. But none of you want to get into that clinical trial, because you can take metformin right now. So you don't risk getting a placebo. You can gain access to metformin right now through your doctor, or just order it offshore and we can recommend a dosage for you. But just again, to let people know, Life Extension, we recommended metformin back in 1995 to healthy people to slow down their aging process. A number of our supporters have been using metformin. I think every day more and more are convinced to use it because we believe this drug, which your doctor can prescribe or just order it from Canada or England, it is a lifesaver. This is an important drug. Anyone who can tolerate it should be on metformin. Now, the technology that excites us the most, and Dr. Maharaj is going to talk about that, is the idea of using young plasma to rejuvenate older people. And in the animal model, it works. You suture a young mouse onto an old mouse, that old mouse grows biologically younger. And this Nature study published in 2015 said there's enough evidence in the animal models now to start incorporating this technology into humans, treating elderly humans with young plasma. We can mobilize the bone marrow of young people, mobilize stem cell release in such a way that we use their stem cell mobilized plasma in a concentrated way that we believe offers the best approach to reverse aging. And Dr. Maharaj is spearheading that research right here in Palm Beach County. This is ground zero for the most ambitious project in human history to reverse biological aging. And the data is not being ignored by the conventional people. Harvard, Cambridge, scientists around the world are exploring this, but they're not fanatical like I am and Dr. Maharaj and others. We fanatically are seeking to reverse aging. These people might spend 10 years doing something we'll do in 3 months. Literally, that happens. Johnson & Johnson put $50 million into a study to see if young plasma might help with early stage Alzheimer's. And again, they're just looking to create one treatment to make a lot of money. We're trying to systemically reverse aging. Media giving us great coverage. You read this as a headline maybe, but then you tend to forget it. So what I do is I put it up on headlines so maybe you'll remember it a little bit more. And the fact of the matter is, young plasma seems to have so many rejuvenating properties that we might be able to enjoy systemic reversal of aging processes. I'm going to play a little video for you right now about reversing aging with young plasma.
Right now, a lot of Bay Area geniuses are focused on solving one of the greatest mysteries of life: aging. One company is hot on the trail of an answer. Only on 5 tonight, Juliette Goodrich reports scientists may have found a real fountain of youth, one that can repair aging brains in plasma from young blood.
Think fountain of youth, but with a twist. What's flowing through the veins of young people may help restore old aging brains. Neuroscientist Carolee Nikolic.
The very first reaction, I think in all of us, was skepticism.
Nikolic heads up Alkahest, a biotech company in San Carlos. He says plasma contains thousands of proteins that do different jobs. But when his colleagues analyzed plasma samples donated by the young and old alike, they were astonished.
We have actually now for the first time discovered that there are hundreds of proteins that change with aging.
Young plasma is awash in special proteins that rejuvenate tissues. But as we age, they're replaced by damaging inflammatory ones. So the scientists did a simple experiment with some very old mice. We've sped up the video for time. In a special maze that measures learning and memory, old mice have a tough time remembering how to get out. They're stuck exploring dead ends and making lots of navigational errors. But when injected with young human plasma, these old mice head directly to the exit without making a mistake. Not only that, their brains have changed.
It's pretty dramatic.
Those green dots? Newborn neurons, freshly sprouted in a part of the brain critical for memory and learning.
We do our treatment, we see a doubling of that.
At Stanford University, Alkahest has now launched the first controlled clinical study of young plasma in humans. It involves 18 people with mild or moderate Alzheimer's disease.
The final results will come at the end of the year.
If the trial proves safe, then a second study with more patients and a bigger dose. If the treatment eventually proves successful, the hope, by growing healthy new neurons, the brain may clear itself.
We are reducing this inflammatory process in the brain.
The number of people living with Alzheimer's disease is growing fast.
I'm going to give you an inside piece of information about that clinical trial. Johnson & Johnson is looking to create a drug. They had to start off with a very low dose of the plasma, and they were only looking at specific measures of cognitive function in early stage Alzheimer's patients. The results were modest, nothing spectacular whatsoever. They weren't looking at something else. The people getting the young plasma reported that they're feeling 10 years younger. But guess what? Feeling 10 years younger is not an application for the FDA to approve a drug. That doesn't count. So that study is ongoing. They're going to be using higher concentrations of plasma. Nothing they're doing compares to what Dr. Maharaj is going to be doing, though, using stem cell mobilized plasma from healthy young donors in a concentrated manner. I would say by a factor of 100, what we're going to be doing here in Palm Beach County will exceed the volume of healthy young proteins those people are going to be getting. But you look at these incredible benefits when just young human plasma is put into old mice. You see these incredible benefits. And the benefit that I'm most impressed with is the mice behaved younger. They acted younger. They're scampering around a cage like babies, like children, as opposed to the old ones that just barely move because they're on the verge of dying. Now, the media's picked up on this technology. The Economist did an extensive story about the fact that aging's being reversed in the laboratory animals. Let's start doing it with people. Let's start getting young plasma into people and seeing what kind of a result are we going to get. So this is what we know today. Young blood, young plasma rejuvenates old animals. It's time to start doing it with people. So again, the question for this group is, which area do you want to be in? Because the control group will age normally, and normal aging is not fun. Experimental group, we're going to intervene into every process that we know that dictates whether you're going to live or die, and see if we cannot circumvent these horrible problems. Now, this is the first public announcement that is going to be made about a way to renew your stem cells using existing technologies. Nothing new. Existing technologies are already being used by a number of people. This paper was published just several months ago, and it unifies an approach to stem cell renewal. This is the new unified theory. And just so you understand, by the way, we retain the stem cells for the most part that we were born with. They're still in our bodies, but they age like our somatic cells. Somatics are the functional cells. So the stem cells are still there, but they're getting old. But there's a way to turn back that clock. There's a way to turn back that clock, and it involves 4 factors. 4 factors. Bear in mind, this presentation will be on the website, so you don't have to think, if I don't remember these, I won't be able to do this. But boosting AMPK, you know what boosts AMPK? Metformin. That boosts AMPK. SIRT1, sirtuin-1, resveratrol. But in order for the SIRT1 to be effective, it needs NAD+. That stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. That's what you need to enable resveratrol to work. Well, people, when they get older, their NAD levels plummet. So we need to restore NAD, and that can be done in a doctor's office. Just 3 visits with infusions to boost your NAD levels so that your sirtuins work. And we need to suppress mTOR. And metformin helps do that too, by the way, but there's a more direct way to do it. So this is our program to renew old stem cells. It's using existing drugs, so you're not really being an experimental guinea pig with this. These drugs are used already, but we're going to boost AMPK, we're going to suppress the excess mTOR, and we're going to increase NAD. Young people, by the way, have lots of NAD, but when we grow older, it diminishes. And when we get down to a point where there's virtually no NAD, we die. In fact, aging at some point may be redefined as NAD deficiency syndrome, because when our NAD levels plummet really low, well, we don't live very well. In fact, we get sick. And activating the SIRT proteins, sirtuin-1, very easy. So ways to boost AMPK? Well, if you don't want to take metformin, undereat. I mean, I know everyone enjoyed a nice lunch today. I won't eat tonight until about 8 o'clock. I chronically undereat in order to live longer. But you don't have to undereat. You can take metformin. But these are ways to boost AMPK. You can increase sirtuin-1, again, by calorie restriction, or just a modest dose of resveratrol. Really easy. But those sirtuins aren't going to work very well without NAD. You need the NADs to enable the sirtuin proteins to function. And when they function, you become younger. So these are valid ways right now, and this is me, April 2017, undergoing NAD plus infusions. I did this for about 8 consecutive days, about 7 hours per day at an outlandishly high dose. I do self-experiment with virtually everything I'm talking about. I'm doing personally, just so you understand. And I had a private duty nurse come to my office and administer the NAD, and I was able to work throughout the process on my computer, writing the Life Extension magazine. And what it did for me, it improved my sleep about 80%. And I do not exaggerate. The reason I did this is I suffer from insomnia, suffered from 35 years of insomnia, the broken sleep with aging, the NAD restored youthful sleep patterns in me. And the reason that I did this is we did a clinical study with 11 people who were over the age of 80, and we weren't looking for sleep improvements. We were looking at clinical measures such as blood pressure, lipids, glucose, and also aging biomarkers such as telomere length. All of them, by the way, improved with the NAD infusions, but all the elderly people reported that they were sleeping better. That was just like a side effect of the NAD therapy. So as soon as I heard that, I said, well, give me that stuff because I'm not sleeping well. And it improved my sleep about 80%. My systolic blood pressure, by the way, dropped 15 to 20 points. I don't take a very good antihypertensive drug called telmisartan. I don't take that anymore. The NAD apparently restored my ability to expand and contract my arteries so I don't have high blood pressure. And then this is the most controversial drug, by the way, how to suppress excess mTOR. Metformin does it indirectly. Rapamycin does it directly, suppressing mechanistic target of rapamycin, by the way, mTOR. Most people have too much in their body. They want to lower mTOR levels, and in doing so, you induce a process in the cells known as autophagy that clears out cellular debris that accumulated throughout the aging process. So taking just 2 to 6 milligrams only once a week of rapamycin. Now, if you take it every day, it'll be toxic. Once a week, you're unlikely to have any toxicity. In case you're wondering why rapamycin excites us, well, if you love your pet, you might want to consider at least letting the pet try it out. I'm going to play this video right now.
Go, everybody, go!
You sit? Good boy.
He should be at the end of his life.
He doesn't look it.
Yes.
Before you started taking Rapamycin, how long would he run around for?
After about 10 minutes of running and playing, he would get really tired, stop, and then his arthritis would kick in. And then he wouldn't walk for the next 2 or 3 days.
And now how long will he run around for?
An hour or two.
This drug is very likely to have the same effects on lifespan and health span in dogs and probably in people as we've seen in laboratory animals.
Is there anyone here who wouldn't like to have that benefit?
Yes, yes.
If there's anyone who doesn't want to have that kind of benefit, when I saw it on CNN, I just said, wow, this is something else we have to explore. There is a clinical study we are funding in Southern California. We are giving older people the 2 to 6 milligrams a week of rapamycin. There's a doctor up in New York prescribing it to his patients, getting spectacular results. And this is, again, the unified theory. This is the first time it's ever been presented live to a group. So you're in a process of being part of medical history right now. When your friends start talking a couple years from now, yeah, the doctor prescribed rapamycin to treat my congestive heart failure, my arthritis, my lethargy. It all started here. This is ground zero for the program to renew our stem cells. These drugs, by the way, are off patent, so they're still, though, expensive. We encourage some people who have financial problems to maybe order them from Europe or Canada. Just get the drugs cheaper. I want to remind people that we've been on this project to renew stem cells now for a long time. Federal government got in our way, and we did not win this particular battle. There was a ban on therapeutic cloning, and right now we've circumvented that ban with rapamycin, metformin, resveratrol, NAD replenishment. We know how to do it. These are the human projects that Life Extension is either directly funding or seeking to raise money for. Some of them don't cost a lot of money. Others, like Dr. Maharaj, which involves getting young people, mobilizing their bone marrow, putting them through a process of apheresis, costs money because that does involve a lot of new technology. This is the website. If you are interested in getting updates, watching my presentation today, rescueelders.org. And if you register your name and email address, we will send you information about clinical trials or new doctors in your area who may prescribe you rapamycin, metformin, NAD+ infusions. I don't make any money off of this. I'm promoting this so that you benefit and tell everyone else you know, hey, I went to this doctor and he's intervening into aging in a way that I feel better. I'm sleeping better. Some of my chronic problems have disappeared. This is what we're looking at. Just to remind everybody how people used to die in 1900. Bacterial infections for the most part. I mean, it's changed in a relatively short period of time. And this is going to change in a short period of time as it relates to aging. People aren't going to die of aging at some point in the next 20, 30 years. But we need to accelerate the research. We got to do this. There's been a huge increase in human longevity since the beginning of recorded time. And that's going to skyrocket up as far as how long people will live. Our time has come as it relates to human age reversal. I've been doing this for 40 consecutive years under the corporate name. Before it was a corporation, I incorporated it when I was 22 years of age, but I've been passionately seeking methods to extend healthy human lifespan, doing it through life extension. Human age reversal. It's become a reality. This is a biomedical renaissance. We're right in the beginning of it. Every new medical discovery, it's always considered, well, maybe it's inappropriate. Well, human age reversal is going to shine very soon. It's going to take the place of a lot of unnecessary medical procedures that people go through simply because they're too old. Again, these are the projects. Our ultimate goal is to combine each and every one of them so that within the next 9 months, I've got a 9-month objective to have a systemic way of rejuvenating people, incorporating, if not every one of these therapies, probably about 90% of these therapies. Well, you'll undergo a treatment with one drug for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, another drug for 2 or 3 weeks, NAD infusions, and after maybe 3 months, you are biologically younger by both clinical measures, aging biomarkers, whatever it takes. There's just an urgent need to fund human age reversal research. If there are charities you support, I suggest you add age reversal to the charity. And also, there's ways to put money into an investment account that will put money into these projects. If making a return on your money is important, well, that's all set up for you too. And again, this is all on the PowerPoint presentation that's on the Rescue Elders website, so you can see how we plan to raise the money for Dr. Maharaj, because his study, unfortunately, does not involve an existing drug. It does involve young human people who we got to pay a lot of money to get their stem cell mobilized plasma and put it into older people. This is a no-brainer. Money stays in an attorney's escrow account. If you like an investment proposal, well, you put money in. And if you don't like it, you get your money back. It does not go to anyone's pocket until you make a decision to fund a specific project, one that would involve more time to talk about than I have today. And if you think about what they did after that tragedy up in Orlando, people, strangers, contributed over $4 million. That's a beautiful thing to do. What I'm suggesting to people, though, is if you donate money to charities, consider yourself. Consider yourself, we're growing older, and if this age reversal technology accelerates, we all benefit. So my suggestion when it comes to technology is let's support it. You can donate, you can invest, whatever you are able to do, and also talk about it. Tell your friends that there's some people out there doing some interventions that may enable us all to live significantly longer. And this is an easy one. This one I'm hoping people will take advantage of. So again, this website gives you access to what we're doing and keeps you up to date. So if there's a new therapy available, we'll let you know about it.
Human age reversal. We may be there already. Human studies are now ready to begin to confirm meaningful reversal of pathological aging processes. These clinical trials aim to alter older humans so that they function as much younger individuals. Even modest success will result in a paradigm shift that will impart enormous societal benefits, such as sparing Medicare from insolvency. Life extension is not standing idle while 5,000 Americans die each day from age-related illnesses. Joining us are physician scientists who want to hurry up these technologies to keep people from aging to death. While life extension is pushing these projects forward, we need financial help to ensure these studies are carried through to fruition.